Yep. Just checking that we're unmuted again. And we're good to go. Good evening, everyone. Before we begin, I want to address yesterday's awful events. It is a huge relief to us all that nobody was hurt. And I think that many in the crypto community agree with me when I say that we're here with you, Mr. President, during these trying times. Your unwavering support for our community has not gone unnoticed, and we're immensely grateful for it. And really, the fact that after all of this, you've chosen to proceed with this interview blows my mind. It speaks volume, Mr. President, and thank you for being here tonight.
I appreciate the remarks. It was quite something, but it worked out well, and Secret Service did an excellent job. And they have the man behind bars, and hopefully he's going to be there for a long time. Dangerous person, very, very dangerous person. But I appreciate the comments very much.
Allowing me to interview you in your wonderful Mar-a-Lago home, which is truly an honor, and I'm very grateful for it.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I can say that myself, like I was saying, the crypto community and millions of Americans are relieved that you're here with us today after the second attempt on your life at the Trump National Golf Club. Can you run us through what happened?
So I was playing golf with some of my friends. It was on a Sunday morning, and very peaceful, very beautiful weather. Everything was beautiful. It was a nice place to be. And all of a sudden we heard shots being fired in the air, and I guess probably 4 or 5. And it sounded like bullets, but what do I know about that? But Secret Service knew immediately it was. And they grabbed me, and I think probably the other one, Steve is one of the people, Steve Woodcuff, a great friend of mine, a great businessman from mostly New York and Florida, great businessman, and more importantly, just a fantastic person. So we're in the group, and we got into the carts, and we moved along pretty good. I was with an agent, and the agent did a fantastic job. There was no question that we were off that course. I would have loved to have sank that last putt, but we decided, well, let's get out of here. And what the gunfire was actually, interestingly, was a Secret Service agent had seen a barrel of a AK-47, which is a very powerful gun, rifle, and he started shooting at the barrel, started shooting in the bushes.
Wow.
Could only see the barrel. How good is that, right? But could only see the barrel. Based on that, he started shooting and ran toward the target and was shooting a lot of, I mean, those were, the one never got a shot off. And he ran across the street and grabbed his car, hopped into his truck or car. And amazingly, a civilian in that area saw something and it looked very suspicious. And in the car, truck of some kind, and took pictures of the license plate, gave them to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Bradshaw is fantastic, very great sheriff for a long time. And within a fairly short period of time, they tracked him down on the highway. It was a pretty high-speed chase. And they ended up getting him. They got him.
Wow.
Because you wouldn't want to have somebody. He dropped his gun, the AK-47. He left his gun. He left cameras behind, left a lot of things behind. So the agent did a fantastic job. The civilian did a phenomenal job. A woman. I mean, who would think times like that? How many people would have the brain power to follow him and
Not
take
many.
pictures of the back of his truck so that they end up getting, and the key was the license. So they got the license, and after they had the license, there's all sorts of technology where they can literally pinpoint where the truck is. I never knew something like that existed. And they pinpointed him on the highway. They got him with a high-speed chase. So they got him. It was amazing. So Secret Service did a great job. And I think I can say honestly, the sheriff's office, law enforcement, everybody really did a great job. Very
Incredible.
happy about that.
That's incredible to hear.
Thank you.
And backup question to that second fold is, this was the second life in under 2 months. What do you make of that?
Well, there's a lot of rhetoric going on.
Right.
A lot of people think that the Democrats, when they talk about threat to democracy and all of this, and it seems that both of the lefts, the first one, they should learn more about. They have apps that they haven't opened yet, which is pretty strange.
Right.
And the father went out and got the biggest lawyer in the state of Pennsylvania, which is pretty strange, about the father of the shooter. We're talking about in Butler, the first one. And that's pretty strange. There are a couple of pretty strange things going on there. I can say this, the Secret Service was very brave in the sense that bullets were flying, and when I went down, I purposely went down. I saw what was happening, and people are probably screaming. I'm not sure if I recognize that, but I went down, and Secret Service, they were right there with bullets flying right at them, and they weren't hit, but three other people were: Corey, a firefighter, and two other gentlemen who they thought died. And actually, the doctors in Butler were unbelievable. And we've actually raised a lot of money for the families and family of Corey and the two gentlemen. And they both lived. They thought they were dead. The first thing I asked when I came up, I said, how many people are dead? Because we had a massive crowd. And with all those bullets flying, so three got hit. But there was a great display of bravery. I mean, it was incredible. Normally, the crowd experts will tell you when they hear bullets, and we heard a lot of bullets going off.
Right.
A crowd this was a massive crowd. You couldn't even see the end of it in a big field. And that the crowd always runs. They call it a stampede, like cattle. I mean, they stampede, and a lot of people get killed when they stampede, but they hear bullets, but nobody ran.
They all
Nobody,
stayed.
tens of thousands of people. Nobody ran. In fact, you can see it in the small group behind me. There was a group of probably a couple of hundred people behind me, and nobody ran. In fact, they're standing of them are standing up looking for the shooter. The other one has to get credit to local law enforcement. It was a gentleman that shimmied up to the roof, looked, saw the man with a gun, and probably made him go faster than he would normally go. And so he didn't exactly hit the target the way he wanted. There's something going on. I mean, Perhaps it's God wanting me to be president to save this country. Nobody knows, but when I made the right turn, it's very unusual because the people weren't on the right. The people were standing out in front of me. When I turned my head at an exact 90-degree angle, the bullet came and clipped my ear. And the reason so much blood, they told me at the hospital, I said, why so much? The ear is the bloodiest part of the body because of cartilage. He was giving me a whole description. I said, you don't have to tell me, but it was a mess. But amazing bravery shown, amazing talent, like the doctor saving the two men that were hit. They were hit really badly. I won't tell you exactly what happened. They were hit badly. And they both lived. Corey didn't make it. Corey was in bad shape. We had a person from the National Guard about 10 seats over from Corey run and with all of, he was hitting the head, with all of that, was giving him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation because he was still alive.
Wow.
And people couldn't believe it. They thought it was such an incredible act. Who would do it? It would, just an amazing thing. And we're going to take him too because it just the fact that he could do it, and some other people. So it was amazing bravery. There was a mistake made, a bad mistake. That one building was unmanned on top.
Very.
And that was a mistake. There's nothing you can say about it. But that was some crazy day. And then yesterday you had another one with a different result, actually, much better result because we lost Corey and two gentlemen were very badly hurt, but they're in pretty good shape now.
Right.
A lot of talent. Those local doctors up there had tremendous talent.
Love to hear that. Well, this is more of a personal question.
Okay.
Just turned 30 last week. We were just chit-chatting. The room here, young entrepreneur, son, aspiring father one day. Mm-hmm. With all of your success, you have a wonderful family. A couple of your sons are actually looking at us right now. You have a wonderful business for yourself, a wonderful life for yourself. You could be on the golf course without worrying about gunmen coming at you. But after multiple attempts at your life, you're still here. You've already been president of the United States of America once. You're about to be president of the United States of America again.
I hope so.
We hope so. Why do you do this? What motivates you?
We have a country that's in trouble, a country that I love. I love the people of this country, people like Corey, who were just this massive Trump fan and he got hit. But people like that, they're in love with the country and they hate seeing what's happened to the country when you have 21 million people pouring in from all countries of the world, from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums. Insane asylums, and they are different. Even prisons and jails, they are different. One's a little more severe than the next. They're coming in as terrorists, and they're coming into our country at levels that nobody's ever seen, and they're taking over our towns, and they're taking over cities and big cities. I mean, look at New York, look at Chicago, look at LA. Tens of thousands of these people, and they're rough people in many cases. I mean, they are rough, tough people. Venezuela gangs. If you look at Aurora in Colorado, you have a governor that doesn't know what he's doing. He's petrified to be there. He doesn't know what to say. I mean, they're literally taking over real estate. They're becoming real estate developers in a much different way. Right? They're taking over buildings. Everyone's afraid of them. And they have a big AK, talking about AK-47s. That's what they have. They carry massive guns. You say, where would they get this kind of power? And they're vicious people. They're gang members from Venezuela, largely, and known as being one of the roughest gangs anywhere in the world. MS-13, which is a bad gang, and you have these guys. And we're going to clean them out. We're going to get them out. But the bottom line, just answer it quickly. I love the country. We're going to make America great again, and we'll be able to do it. We did it once, and we'll do it again, and much easier this time. The border is in much worse shape than it's ever been. This is the worst border there's ever been in any country. They have not done the job that they have to do. I mean, you have Kamala, she was the border czar. I call her the comrade because she's a Marxist. She wants to tax everybody out of business. She wants to raise taxes to 70, 80%. She wants an unrealized capital gain tax, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Nobody's ever even heard of such a thing. And they'll put everybody out of business. We'll end up in a depression if she gets in. And very simply, though, we're going to make America great again, greater than ever before. And I love doing it.
Being from Canada, I can probably relate to what that means. Yeah. A crypto entrepreneur based in Montreal here, so it's it's not always the best feeling as someone who's trying to build something out of nothing here. Speaking of which, I'm wondering now. I know this is quite different, right? But I know many people in crypto feel this way as we're trying to change the financial system. Quite literally, we're trying to change things and make a difference, but it always feels like there's some sort of a force against us. In your case, do you feel similarly that there's a force out there to get you?
Well, you have a radical left force, and we have forces. I say that we have a lot of evil in the world. The world is a nasty place, and you can see that with some of the things that have happened. We've been treated, I think, very unfairly, but I've done so well. It's it's an amazing country in some ways, but we have evil forces. You have the outside forces with the enemies, and you call them Russia, China, various places. I don't know that they're enemies. I think we'll get along great with China. I think we'll get along great with Russia. I want to get Russia to settle up with Ukraine and stop this. Millions of people being killed, far greater than the number you read about. But I want to get that done before I even take office. I want to get that done as president-elect because it has. Solved. Too many people dying. Too many cities are just in rubble right now. You look at the culture is just being destroyed. Mm-hmm. We got to get that done, and I'll get it done. There wouldn't have been an October 7th. There wouldn't have been Russia attacking Ukraine. There wouldn't be inflation. All this inflation, which has hurt people so badly. You wouldn't have had that horrible type of withdrawal. We were getting out of Afghanistan, but with dignity and strength. That was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And frankly, Russia would have never gone into Ukraine if it weren't for that. They looked at that and they said, this country is no longer run by Trump. This country is run by stupid people. And we have a great military. I took out ISIS in 4 weeks. And everyone said it was going to take 4 or 5 years. I took them out in 4. Our military is great, but you have to have the right. And so The bottom line is that it can be nasty, but it's only going to get worse. If I don't win, it's only going to get worse. It's going to get really bad. We'll end up being Venezuela on steroids. We'll end up in 1929 type depressions. And we have to make sure that this person doesn't get in. This is far worse. Biden. You know, that was if you think of it, that was an overthrow of a president. He won. He had 14 million votes. He had no votes. Crazy Nancy Pelosi walked in, and some of the others, and they say, "We want you out." He said, "I'm not going to get out. I want to run." I was leading him by a lot after the debate, but still he had the right to run, and they literally, it was a coup in the truest sense. This was the first coup of an American. And I think it's, look, I don't say fair or not fair. He was very nice today. He called up to make sure I was okay, to make sure that, do I have any suggestions or anything? Mm-hmm. We do need more people on my detail because we have 50, 60,000 people showing up to events, and, right. Other people don't have that. But he couldn't have been nicer. But I thought he was treated really unfairly. He went through a primary system, he won, and then they threw him overboard. And, she got no votes. But she'd be very bad for the country. We have to save our country. We can't play games, and we can't have a Marxist, communist president, because that's not what it's all about. So we're going to do it, and we're going to make our country greater than ever before, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to love your crypto. And as long as you have crypto, you're happy. Nothing else but crypto.
Yeah, I mean, when the Twitter Spaces was officially announced and that you put the tweet out, a lot of people were like, "Well, who's this Farouk guy?" And obviously, a lot of people started digging into this Farouk guy, and the main reply that was that I'm just this crypto bro. But you know what, Mr. President, I am a proud. Crypto bro, and it seems like you're starting to become one of us, if not already. I know for a fact that your children are quite involved in the space. I mean, we have Baron, Don Jr., and Eric on the Twitter Spaces right now. Eric and Don Jr. here will be joining us a little later on this programming, but get into crypto now, because I already see the people on Twitter Spaces really eager to hear you talk about this. At the recent Bitcoin conference, you mentioned that, and I quote, "America should be the crypto capital of the world." Yeah. That was a big statement, and I believe the correct one. So why is it not right now?
Well, I think it will be right now. Right now you have a very hostile SEC. I guess you'd have to say, I don't know, when you say administration, do you call it Biden or do you call it Harris? Nobody really knows what to call it, but maybe we'll say a combination of both. But they've been very hostile toward crypto, toward all of it, and extremely hostile, like nobody can believe. Nobody even understands why. My attitude is different. If we don't do it, China's going to do it. China's doing it anyway.
They are.
But if we don't do it, we're not going to be the biggest, and we have to be the biggest and the best. And when you look at values, and when you add it all up, the value of this whole thing is bigger than they were showing me. Your top 20 corporations and all of this, the numbers are just gigantic. It suffers from some credibility lapses. I mean, some things were done or not done, but it's very young and very growing. And if we don't do it, China's going to do it. Other countries are going to do it. A lot of countries would like to be in a position. We have the advantage because it's us. But you have a big advantage because it's me, because I do believe in it. I also know a lot of friends that are really into it. And my kids, I mean, Baron knows so much about this.
Right.
Eric, and Baron's a young guy, but he knows it. He talks about his wallet. He's got 4 wallets or something, and I'm saying, "What is a wallet? Explain this to me." But he knows this stuff inside out, and Eric and Don know it so well.
They do.
People know it a lot better than older people, but I have a lot of respect for them. They've shown great judgment, all of them, and I think you're onto something. You're onto it a lot sooner than most people. You know, you really, it's sort of like it's a fledgling business, and yet it's a massive business, but it has a chance to really be something special. And when I do things, I notice a lot of crypto comes in. People pay with crypto.
Oh yeah.
And you didn't see that even a year ago, 2 years ago. So I think it's really, it's big, and yet it's a fledgling compared to what it will be.
And I love that you're mentioning your children and how Baron is using his wallet. Similar to me, I'm trying to teach my mother how to use it. I send her 1 ETH every Christmas, 1 ETH every birthday, and same for my little Zoomer brother, who probably is in Baron's age category. So, has learning about crypto from your children had an impact on you?
Well, it makes it easier, and it's sort of like a language, you know. A beautiful granddaughter, Ivanka's daughter, and she is Arabella. She speaks perfect Chinese.
Wow.
And their other 2 children, 2 great young boys, they speak perfect Chinese. They learned it when they were 2 and 3 and 4 from a nanny who was Chinese.
That's impressive.
And she was from China. And she would teach Arabella. When President Xi was here, President Xi couldn't believe it. She walked up to him and had a perfect conversation. And I said, "So how did she do?" He said, "As good as any 10-year-old girl in Beijing." I remember that statement. I mean, but she learned it at a very young age.
Wow.
If you're going to learn, if it's China or Japan or any language,
right.
It's not child. It's almost like a natural. So it's a little bit like that, I think, with crypto. Now, I think crypto is a lot easier,
right.
if you want to know that. But there is a learning curve. And yeah, my kids really understood it, and they understood it pretty much right at the beginning.
Yeah, we're and I was like, "Whoa, okay, this is really awesome."
He knows. Yeah.
Oh, we're about to hear all about your son's crypto endeavors and how much they know about it, which is really cool. You know, I just came back from Asia. I was at the Korea Blockchain Week and at WebEx in Japan, and over there at the moment, everybody's in Singapore tuning live to listen to us live on Spaces for Token 2049. What's impressive in the East is that crypto is not the future. When I come here and in Canada and North, it feels like I'm being taken aback. So the question I have for you, following up on what I was asking earlier, is why is it so important for America to lead in cryptocurrency adoption and innovation?
Well, it's crypto, it's AI, it's so
Right.
many other things. Speaking of an interesting future, it needs tremendous electricity capability beyond anything I've ever heard. It never made sense to me, but this is what it needs. If you take all of the electricity coming out of the U.S., in order to have to be dominant in a yeah, you need twice that amount just for this one thing. Who would think that? You need twice the electricity we already have. And you got to get started. I mean, you have to be, if you're the U.S., you have to get started.
Right.
You don't want to be left in the dust. And China's already building electric plants, and they want to build them for, for the AI, and it's very important, but you need tremendous electric, and in this country, environmental impact statement problems that we have. You know, China doesn't have those problems. They don't do them. They just build. They said, build over here,
Right.
build over there. With us, you have to go through years, but I'll make it possible to create tremendous amounts of electricity very rapidly. But people don't know that. People don't know that you need double the electricity. So you want to get in, whether it's crypto or AI or other things that are coming along, and it's part of the game. We want to have a great country. We want to stay at the top. We're making things now. We're starting an administration that there was no chance of ever even getting involved in for a long time.
Right.
And we're leading the pack in so many ways. One of the things I'm very proud of is Space Force. We were getting lapped in space by China and by Russia, and now we are the leader in space. And is doing a fantastic job. He's my friend. He endorsed me for president, like so strongly. It was incredible. But he is doing an amazing job with respect to space. When you look up, I think somebody said he sends 90% of the rockets sent up throughout the world are his.
Wow.
And you got to hand it to him. He's something.
He definitely is. Wish he was here, but at least we're using his. We'll get him. We'll get him. We're definitely using his platform to do so, and I'm sure there's a reason for that. So, right, like there's a lot of American entrepreneurs, founders in crypto that need to sadly leave the country because it feels like at times we're being treated like we're not really welcome to build companies here. The CEO of our company over at Rug Radio was actually debanked earlier last year, but we'll get into that later. Do you think it's important for America to have a legal framework for crypto so that businesses can thrive and survive here?
I do, and they should have certain safeguards too. Maybe somebody would say that's a bad thing to say, but no, it can't be totally freewheeling. And crypto people, they want safeguards. They want certain safeguards. But it's a very hostile environment right now. From what I understand, the SEC has been extremely hostile and really going after people. And I think, frankly, since they heard I was involved, they've treated people much better. Maybe they view it as votes. Maybe they view it as votes. But people that were under serious and nothing wrong are all of a sudden not allowed to go free. And I really believe that's because they see, this is a very big market. This is a very powerful market.
Very.
So I'm glad I helped. If I helped, I don't know, maybe I didn't. But the unbelievably hostile. The one thing is that if for some reason bad things happen and we don't win the election, those people that were under investigation and that are free as a bird right now, and people that weren't being looked at in the crypto world, because it'll start the day after the election if they win. And I view it differently. I mean, I just view it that we have to be the top no matter what we do.
Right.
Chips or anything else, we were really starting to go with the chips. We have to be number one. And I think AI is really important, but I think crypto's one of those things we have to do. Whether we like it or not, we have to do it.
It's really, really cool to hear it from you in person. We've only heard it on TV, in newspaper, etc. But it feels good to know that a presidential candidate and someone who's already president of the United States of America feel this way about cryptocurrency. and a lot of people in the industry are relieved to hear that. And I will see what the results are in November. But on something a little lighter now, I remember the day your NFT collections came out. That was super cool. So I hosted a morning show called FOMO Hour with my friend OSF and Mando and now Tyler, and the link dropped. And so it was the very, very first collection. There was a chance to have dinner with you. And I remember just like scrambling to buy them. We're staying live. We stopped the show live on air to thousands of people like, no, we got to buy these. We're going to buy these. I got to spend 25K on this. Let's go. Right. Let's do it. Which is another cool thing about people in crypto, right? Or there's crypto bros. We're trying to buy these things. And it was just so electric and crazy that we actually failed. But hey, I guess that's a good thing because the collection, ended up selling out, and then you ended up doing, I believe, you ended up doing that 3 times over. Can you tell us more about the success that you have had with NFTs, but also like, did that surprise you?
Well, and NFT was considered cold. I mean, to be honest, it was a cold industry. It had its day a few years before, as you probably know. But when I did it, I said, what do we have to do with anything else? And it's playing cards and some beautiful artwork and other things. And we went out with 45,000 NFTs, and it was amazing. We thought it would take 6 months, maybe a year to sell. It sold out. I don't want to get exactly the first day, but pretty close to it. It was like almost immediately.
It was quick.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we failed every transaction.
Right. Almost immediately. And then we did a second one likewise. And then we did a third one. And then we just did a fourth one. And I asked the people from the first 3, I said, well, do you want to have? Oh, they have certain, they have very big pride to start off with. But I said, are you going to, if we do a fourth one, does that affect you and the ones you already own? Because some people bought a lot of them and some people bought one. And they're all very happy, really happy. I said, does it affect you? And everybody, it was like sort of a phone poll, just like, and everybody wanted the fourth one, which surprised me because you would think they wouldn't want the fourth one because maybe it waters down their own pieces that they have. And they did. They wanted it, and they wanted it badly. So we did a fourth and just did it recently, and I think it's just about gone. It's amazing. And one of the things I know, the crypto played a big role because they paid.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we're not getting checks with dollars. We're getting crypto.
It's instant.
And that taught me a little bit about what you love. It taught me something that was incredible. We did the NFTs. It was so cool. People said, don't do it. Don't do it. You're not going to.
I'm sure.
And we did it, and it sold. Literally, we had anywhere from 6 months to a year, and I think we did it in a day or something.
It was quick. Yeah. It was quick, and you know what? It was fun. That's what it was.
It is fun.
It was a lot of fun. So I'm aware that you probably have a million things to get to. So I kind of want to finish off with a couple more questions for you, Mr. President. So first and foremost, were the NFTs a big part of the story, of your story? You came to see the value in digital assets?
A little bit, because so many people paid this way. If they would have been paying in dollars, I would have said, that's standard. I would have assumed. And I was blown away. I wasn't overly interested in it, to be honest, but I did it. Percentage was taken between Bitcoin and all of the other things, but through crypto, and it was a massive majority, and I was a little surprised by that. And that was a while ago now. my eyes. But I think my children opened my eyes more than anything else.
Wow.
And plus, I have a friend on my right who's a very smart guy, and he's not quite as young as his fantastic son, who we were dealing with, Alex, and all of them. But he knows a lot about this stuff for a man of his age. He's still pretty young, but for a man of his age, Steve Whitcock.
He definitely does. And he's sitting on your right. We're about to get to Steve Witkoff. And for everybody in the audience right now, if you're listening to us live, hang tight. I have one more question for Mr. President. And then we're going to be joined by Don Jr., Eric Trump, and the World Liberty Financial teams, and Corey and everybody, the advisors around it. So we have quite the programming for you. But Mr. President, one last question that you may or may not have answered with your last answer here is, so if there was one thing that got you to see crypto differently,
It was what?
one thing that got you to see crypto differently, what was it?
Well, maybe the NFTs. You sort of brought that up because I was surprised again at the percentage of them that were sold through that form. You could do a new form of currency. You could call it anything you want. I think it was also the level of enthusiasm that my young sons have for this, pretty young guys. I mean, one's extremely young and two are pretty young, right? But the level of enthusiasm they have, and also just to add a third element, I have a lot of friends, very smart people, some very smart people, and they're believers. So it means.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. Everybody hang tight, please. I will go to Mr. Witkoff in a second, and we'll be joining by the next set of guests. But Mr. President, it's an honor. Thank you. Honestly, the fact that you've done this the day after a second assassination attempt means the world to me. Just a little 30-year-old boy from Montreal that, started from. This is now hosting yourself. So thank you for allowing me to do so.
Great job. Great job. Thank you very much.
Everybody hang tight. We'll be right back.